Hello gamers, it is Goldemon12 here with another Wuthering Waves video. Today will be my first ever detailed guide on Wuthering Waves, starting with the character Verina, a very powerful Spectro healer support character. Verina boasts a whopping 14,238 HP stat. This is currently the highest in the game. Very impressive for a character that does not scale HP. This is quite unexpected, however it is good because that means she'll be slightly more tanky than some other characters. Her attack stat is 338. This is relatively high, being the 7th highest in the game. This is good because this character's skills of attack and you'll be building into the stat a lot, so having a higher base will be important. As for her defense, she only has a 1100 defensive stat. This is kind of bad because this means she will take more damage compared to other characters. In comparison, her higher HP stat means that she could be more tanky than some characters. There is a give and take here, but generally having both of these high in a support character will be good, considering in the end game you often get 1 to 2 shot by enemies, so having a low defense stat can be a negative aspect for this character. Moving on to her basic attack, Cultivation. Verina performs up to 5 consecutive attacks with vines, dealing Spectro damage. Her heavy attack, Verina consumes stamina to charge forward, dealing Spectro damage. A unique thing about this heavy attack is that it can be used at any time without restriction, meaning you can slide across the map at free will. It's very fun and it allows you to move around very fast. Her mid-air attack. Verina consumes stamina to perform up to 3 consecutive attacks in mid-air, dealing Spectro damage. This has a variety of applications such as being able to float in air, combo, or even feed into one of her other skills that will be later. Verina also has a mid-air heavy attack. Hold to consume stamina and perform a mid-air plunging attack dealing Spectro damage. This is less important and it is a straight down plunge, so this can be used for comboing and juggling some enemies. And then lastly, for her basics, her dodge counter. Quite simple. You dodge, counter, and deal Spectro damage. Onto her skill. Verina converges an energy field in front to grow foliage, dealing Spectro damage within the range. Yes, it is actually worded like that. They need to fix the wording. Basically what it says is, skill does damage within a small range. Now onto one of the more confusing aspects of this character, her forte circuit or power circuit. Heavy attack Sunflower Blooms. When casting heavy attack, if Verina has one photosynthesis energy, in this case I'll be calling this her energy bar or meter or power bar, whatever you want to call it, just to simplify it so that it's easy to understand. Verina consumes 1 stack of photosynthesis energy to recover concerto energy and restore HP for all nearby party members. This is important as this is one of her key ways of healing. Heavy attack Starflower Blooms deals Spectro damage and is considered heavy attack damage. Like mentioned earlier, this is where her mid-air attack comes into play. Mid-air attack Starflower Blooms. When casting a mid-air attack, if Verina has 1 stack of photosynthesis energy, Verina consumes 1 stack of photosynthesis energy to recover concerto energy and restore HP for all party members nearby. Verina can cast mid-air attack Starflower Blooms by using basic attack after casting heavy attack. Basically, if you use a heavy attack, it will push her into the air and you can immediately use multiple air basic. As seen in the footage, if you heavy attack slide into an enemy, it launches you in the air. If you press basic immediately afterwards, you can do your mid-air attacks. Oftentimes you do this to spend all of your charges very quickly, or you'll just drop to the ground to continue your combo in a different way. Photosynthesis energy. Verina can hold up to 4 photosynthesis energy, and she can gain it in a number of ways. Verina obtains 1 stack for every 5 basics on hit. Verina obtains 1 stack for every Resonant Skill Botany Experiment on hit. Verina obtains 1 stack of photosynthesis energy for every Inter-Skill Verdant Growth on hit. Obtaining these stacks is very important to her energy gain and team combos, and you're going to need to learn how to master this if you want to see the full power of this character. The basic way to put this is that you will be putting her on field using her ultimate, using her skill, and doing a couple of basics to quickly gain a high number of stacks and concerto energy. Once you gain a certain amount, you'll be able to swap off of her onto the other character, healing them and giving them a nice damage bonus via her outro skill that we'll get into. The basic way to think about her power bar is just attack with her, use her abilities, gain the stacks, jump in the air via your heavy attack, or just by jumping, use your 3 basics, get off field. Now onto her ultimate. Verina nourishes nearby foliage at rapid speed, dealing Spectro damage while restoring HP to all characters on teams nearby. A photosynthesis mark is applied to the target on hit. Photosynthesis mark. Whenever a character on a team nearby performs an attack on targets with Photosynthesis Mark, Verina performs a coordinated attack dealing spectral damage while restoring HP to the active character, dealing damage on a nearby team, triggered once per second. This ability lasts for 12 seconds, meaning you can get typically around 12 attacks off with it, depending on how many hits your team does within those 12 seconds. It has a cooldown of 25 seconds with an energy cost of 175. This is quite a high energy cost comparatively. Most characters are around the 125 mark, so this means she's going to need a lot of energy recharge to be able to reliably get her ultimate up. By the way, I want to insert here, her energy recharge after further testing is going to be higher than I initially thought. So I've seen a couple recommendations going around about needing about 150%. I would say it's even higher than that, nearing towards 180 to 200%. Because her skill generates about 1/8 of what it does on its own, you're going to need a lot more energy of that to consistently get it up on rotation. Her intro skill, it does damage. Now for her outro skill. This is one of the most powerful aspects of this character, and the main reason why people are saying she is so powerful, and why she's considered to be the best support character of the game right now, gapping everybody else. For her outro skill, Verina heals the next character or other characters on a nearby team that activates an outro skill by 19% of her attack per second for 6 seconds. All characters on nearby teams gain 15% all type damage deepen, or in this case penetration, that's what it's called, for 30 seconds. And this is a long time. Half a minute for all type damage penetration boosts your damage massively. This is very powerful because, again, the whole goal with this character is you put her on field, build meter, and then get her off field, right? And you give your entire team, again, all characters, damage penetration. This is one of her most powerful effects, and stacking this with other support bonuses is why she is so strong. Now onto her major forte passives. Gift of Nature. When Verina casts a heavy attack, mid-air attack, or Resonance Liberation, her ultimate, or outro skill, attack for all party members increased by 20% for 20 seconds. This is a very powerful effect because just like her outro skill, it's given to all party members, and since most characters in the game currently scale off attack, this is one of the most important buffs for every team, as it is quite literally free because it just requires you to do what you're doing anyways with this character. Very powerful effect. Her other major forte is whenever a party member receives fatal damage, they will gain a shield equal to 120% of Verina's attack, lasting for 10 seconds. This can be triggered once every 10 minutes. Yes, that's right. Including everything else this character does, she even has a death prevention passive for whoever on the team. Very powerful effect, and will be extremely helpful in the end game if you ever make a mistake. This is something you would want to look out for future characters if they have this on them as well. For anybody who has played the end game, they hit pretty hard. Her minor forte are attack percent and healing bonus percent. Now you may have wondered why I skipped over a few things like the attack damage, the damage percent of the talents here. The thing is, they aren't really so important. In fact, you probably don't even need to level them at all for this character to do what she needs to do. That is both a good and bad thing. See, going into the live game, they nerfed her damage across the board, so she can no longer do damage like she once did, to the point where her intro skill is even half of that of most other characters. Typically you see 100 or 75 at level 1, hers is all the way at 50. And even her basic attacks are nearly half or less than most characters' basic attacks. They demolished her damage, but that's okay considering you will be primarily using this character for healing and buffing the team. That being said, let me go over her energy gain real quickly. Whenever you use her skill, she does gain 30% concerto energy, which again will be very important as you need to build meter with her as fast as possible so she can support the team. Whenever she uses a photosynthesis stack, right, one of her passive stacks, you'll gain an additional 12% concerto energy. Whenever you use an ultimate, you will gain 20% concerto energy. And all of this together combines into a very fast energy gain as long as you can get the ultimate up and use your other abilities. And then lastly, her intro skill will also regenerate 10 concerto energy. Before we get into weapons and builds, I'm going to quickly go over her resonance chains for any whales out there wanting to invest into this character more. I will say, however, I don't think she needs any resonance chains to perform at 100%. Most of these only really give her an extra stack or a minor amount of damage, which she is not focused on. Her first Resonance Chain. Outro skill Blossom grants the next character continuous healing effect, recovering HP by 20% of Verina's attack for 5 seconds, every 5 seconds for 30 seconds. Her second Resonance Chain, Sprouting Reflections. Resonance skill Botany Experiment additionally grants 1 photosynthesis energy and 10 concerto energy. Okay, to break your immersion real quickly, I think I noticed a typo in her second Resonance Chain. Her ability is supposed to be called photosynthesis energy. It says photosynthetic energy. I don't know what happened there, but as you know, there's a lot of issues with the game. Also, like, she's literally based on a plant, so I don't know how you messed that one up, but it is what it is. Moving on. Her second Resonance Chain is actually one of her more beneficial ones, as this means she gets a faster rotation for being able to proc outro skills, being that she will get 2 stacks per skill and an extra 10 concerto energy per proc. This is very powerful, as this will significantly change her rotation and field time. Her third Resonance Chain, the Choice to Flourish, Healing Resonance Liberation Photosynthesis Mark is increased by 12%. Her fourth Resonance Chain, Blossoming Embrace, Heavy Attack Starflower, her Mid-Air Attack Starflower, and Resonance Liberation, Arboreal Flourish, and Outro skill Blossom increases Spectre damage bonus for all of her team members by 15% for 24 seconds. Her fourth Resonance Chain is arguably her most powerful one, only second to her second Resonance Chain, as this will give you a nice Spectre damage bonus. However, there is one problem with the current state of the game. We don't have any major Spectre damage dealers. In fact, the only Spectre damage character is the MC. So right now this effect is not very powerful, but in the future when we get actual Spectre characters, maybe this effect will matter a lot more. Her fifth Resonance Chain, Miraculous Blossoms. When Verina heals a team member with less than 50% HP, her healing is increased by 20%. This one again is not very important or necessary. Her last one, her Resonance Chain 6, Joyous Harvest. Heavy attack, mid-air attack deal 20% more damage. They will trigger a coordinated attack 1 time and heal all nearby characters. The damage of this coordinated attack and the healing are equal to those of her ultimate. So this final one isn't really important, but it does double her healing, considering all of her attacks that she'll be doing will additionally proc another follow-up attack, giving you extra heals. Is it necessary? No, not at all. Meaning that looking at all of her Resonance Chains, her most important one is definitely that second one. However, you do not need any of these to make this character do what she wants to do. Now to move on to weapons. Verina has a limited weapon choice, considering the primary thing that she wants to do is have energy to gain the ultimate faster, because without the ultimate, that is a significant time on field that she has to spend. And what you want to do with this character is get her off of field so your team can start doing damage with your DPS characters, because as stated, her damage isn't very good. So because of this, she only has 3 real rectifiers that will actually help her and the team do what she wants to do. Starting off with probably the worst rectifier for her, however it does have a massive amount of energy regen, is the rectifier 25. Whenever skill is released, if the resonator's HP is below 60, it restores their HP by 5. This effect can be triggered 1 time every 8 seconds. If the resonator's HP is above 60, increases attack by 12%, lasting for 10 seconds. This one is not very impactful for her overall kit, except for the massive amount of energy regen. However, with the lower base attack, her healing will be worse than some other options. That's not really anything to be concerned about, considering you do want to get your ultimate up as fast as possible. However, I do think some other options are more worthwhile on this character in terms of team buffing and synergy with gaining her other abilities. Her second best option is Rectifier of the Voyager at S5, the 3-star. This rectifier, whenever you use a skill, gives you extra energy by 12. This effect can be triggered 1 time every 20 seconds. Considering a typical rotation with her will be shorter than 20 seconds and your on-field time with your other characters should take up 20 seconds, you'll have this basically every time she's on field, giving her a massive chunk of energy for her ultimate. The energy recharge on this rectifier is worse than the other 4-star stated. However, this is going to be a more powerful option, considering you can better chain ultimates, giving you a flat 12 energy whenever you use the skill. Very impactful for overall rotation and probably her most used option for players who don't have the next option. And for her recommended best in slots is Variation S1 or Beyond. The passive for this reads, when resonant skills release, restores Concerto energy by 8. This effect can be triggered one time every 20 seconds. Just like the previous two, this does something to help her gain energy. It has a whopping 51.8% energy regeneration, just like the previous 4-star. However, instead of giving you ult energy, this actually gives you Concerto energy. This is also just as important as the 3-star, as this will give you meter to swap characters and activate more intro and outro skills. This I find to be her best option as it solves both problems. One problem of helping her generate meter faster, and another problem of helping her generate her ult faster. This is arguably her best rectifier and what I would recommend most players to use if you have it. If not, then most likely go with that 3-star option. Now onto the Echo builds. This is a massive part of this character's kit as it will greatly increase her supportive abilities across the board for a variety of teams. The primary Echo you want to use for her build is the Bell-born Geoshalon. You acquired this by fighting the weekly boss at the top of the map, the Bell-born. What makes this so powerful as a 4-cost Echo to run for her as the main Echo is the passive that it gives. Its passive reads, deal glacial damage based on 149% of the current character's defense to nearby enemies and obtain a Bell-born shield that lasts for 15 seconds. The damage of this doesn't really matter, it's more the rest of the supporting passive that it gives. And that reads, the Bell-born shield provides 50% damage reduction and 10% damage boost for the current team members and disappears after the current character is hit 3 times. This is a powerful effect because as long as you're playing normally, dodging and parrying, you will have a near permanent 50% damage reduction and 10% damage boost for the whole team. There's another great addition to this character's kit, allowing you to support the team in a fantastic way by giving them extra damage percent. This set you'll be going for is the Rejuvenating Glow set. The reason for this is because this will increase your healing and give everybody another attack boost of 15%. This is going to be better than the other support set being Moonlit Clouds, as Moonlit Clouds is restricted to one character, and while it does give a greater bonus, you don't really need the energy regen from the 2-piece, and the 5-piece, as stated, is not worth it as the other set can give you a 15 to the whole team, and because of how much this character heals and how often she heals, this will also have a 100% uptime. And so, if you've been paying attention, you've heard that right. You can have a permanent uptime of 35% attack, 15 damage penetration, and 10% damage bonus. This character gives you a lot of buffs simply just being on the team. As for the stats on these Echoes, you're going to be looking for healing bonus on the Bell-born as the priority stat here. You can run attack percent, however healing bonus will net you more overall heals. For the 3-cost Echoes, you'll be looking for double energy regen to get her energy regen up there so she will consistently get her ultimate every rotation. Remember, in this game, energy gain is cut in half for the character that is off field. And for the 1-cost Echoes, you'll be going double attack percent to get her that higher attack that she scales off of. For substats, prioritize energy regeneration and attack percent. Defense is also pretty good as a 3rd stat as she has low defense, and boosting this means she'll be a bit tankier herself and you won't have any issues where she gets randomly one-shot by an enemy. HP also works as the 4th stat as this again will increase your tankiness. Other than that, stats don't really matter. She just wants to be able to boost her attack up as much as possible and energy up as much as possible to get her ultimate fast and heal more. Alright, I realized while making this, I missed something in the video. So that's what I'm here doing right now. We're replacing that part in the video and I'm gonna explain it to you, right? Teams. Almost left this part out of the video. So for Verina, she's a support character and because of that, she can go on any team, realistically. Any combination of characters, as long as you run one support, or I guess in this case, you could say defensive character, right? To help keep you alive and boost your damage, that's what you're gonna do, right? She is the best one in the game currently, and everybody uses her on all the teams. She, is quite literally meta defining in that regard. So then, what teams are good with her, right? Well, glad you asked. Oh, you can't. Damn. I clicked the wrong button. Glad you asked. So, in terms of teams, right? Obviously, Verina's the main DPS, or Yes, Verina's the main DPS. God, obviously Verina's the support character who's buffing the team damage overall, right? And because of the way the meta is currently being shifted, it's a lot of getting your abilities out as fast as possible and doing as much damage in the shortest window as you can, burst damage. And so you may have seen some tier lists shift their characters around a whole lot. Some characters have gone all the way up from like D tier to like S tier, right? It's been wild this, first week. But what we have here is a couple of example teams. So obviously Verina is the healer or support character that's going to be buffing both DPSs in each slot, right? Now this is going to be one of the best teams in the game, or at least it's theorized and calculated as one of the best teams, if not the best team in the game. Calcharo, Yinlin, and Verina, right? The main reason for this is, well, Yinlin gives an electro damage buff, which Calcharo is electric. She also gives an ult damage buff, which Calcharo is primarily ult damage, right? He does his ult and then gets the basic conversion. While it won't buff all of his ultimate, because again, it's still basic damage, he's still doubling down on the fact that Yinlin's getting buffed from Verina. Verina is buffing both of them, right? So you're getting this insane like damage buffing from all three characters onto Calcharo, and he's going to be doing a lot of damage, right? He's already really strong as is. Once you build into him and learn his combos, that's going to be really good, right? Of course, there's Encore, who's already a strong DPS, and Verina's, again, the best partner for her currently. And you have, I forgot to pronounce her name. Senhua? I think that's how you say that. Who's already a really strong character and has a variety of roles that can be put in. In fact, even on C inside, they put her at T0, so she's like the only T0 right now in the game. Pretty crazy. Very powerful, and she works on basically all of these teams. Of course, there's the new one that people have been coming up with, the Danjin's Havoc Rover combo with the double Dreamless doing insane damage. Of course, because both of these characters won't field time, this will minimize your Danjin field time and maximize your Havoc Rover buffing, because Havoc Rover does an absurd amount of damage and has a really strong ultimate, and this will allow them to, spam it as much as possible, right? So that will give you a lot of damage and a lot of intro skills to build up your abilities even faster, right? So that team is really good. And then obviously there's the current one that all the meta players are using, I don't know how to say his name, Big Zhao, right? And Mortefi, right? So those are the couple of example teams. Most teams in this game are going to be your main DPS, your sub DPS, and your support character, right? That's the typical structure of teams in this game, and here's some of the best ones for this character, right? She's a support, can really go anywhere. So yeah, hope that helps. Alright, for this section I'm going to be doing a bit of live commentary just to sort of explain to you how her typical combat flow works if you haven't quite understood it yet. We're going to be doing it in the lowest level that you can do outside of this game's version of in-game, right? This is going to be the towers that you unlock towards, I think, level 20. I could be wrong about that. Again, a lot going on, but we'll just show you how this character's combat loop is. So typically you're going to either start with your main DPS on field or Verina on field, as again, you want her to build up energy, swap out, and do whatever you need to do, right? And as I stated before, the main thing about this character is building up your energy as fast as possible and then getting her off field so everybody else can do massive amounts of damage. And also, I will say, minor spoiler warning for if you haven't completed the story, I'm going to be using an Echo that you unlock at the very end of the game currently, and as well as the new MC that you unlock at the end of the game, Havoc Rover. So you have been warned, and that in itself was kind of a spoiler, so just keep that in mind for this gameplay section of the video. So the main thing that you do with this character, just like so, is you put her on field, and you see my energy is at nothing right now. However, in this mode you start with full energy. And so typically what you do is you're going to do a rotation of ult, skill, your bell tome, and then jump in the air and do a couple basics. And as you can see, I'm almost maxed meter, and then you just get her off field and do what you need to do on your other characters, right? And that is quite simply all you really do, right? And that's going to be your typical rotation. Now, my build on her isn't quite complete, because of course this game just came out, but I already do have most of the finished relics for her already, right? And that is basically all you really do. There's not much more to it, right? Hopefully I do get better relics so I can better show off what she wants to do, but that is all this character currently does, right? She's on field, and then pop her off immediately, and you're basically good to go, right? I'll even take it into a higher level just to hopefully the enemies don't die immediately from my Havoc MC doing a bunch of damage, right? Havoc MC is really good, by the way, in case you guys don't know about that. But again, in a mode like this, you ult, right? Skill, bell tome, do a dodge maybe, jump in the air to get your final meter, and then swap off the field, right? There is a couple other things you can do, of course, like if you are on her specifically, you can do 5 basics before you go off field, so you can ult skill 5 basic to gain another energy bar, and then do 2 basics to where you immediately have full concerto energy just right off rip. And so that will be a very powerful effect and will help you generate energy a lot faster and just get her off field to do whatever she needs to do. And then also her intro skill will proc more energy like stated beforehand. As you can see, my meter gain right here is pretty fast, all things considered. I'm gaining it within a couple hits, and then she's off field giving all my characters an attack buff, giving all of them a damage penetration buff, damage percent buff from the bell tome, and then another attack buff from the set. So as you can see, all this is very powerful and all stacked together very well, with her barely doing anything to take up field time or even reduce your damage. Just having her on the team is pretty much just a straight up DPS increase, considering that anybody can proc her outro skill, and you won't have any problems with swapping into a specific character to gain its, extra effects like other characters may have, right? It's just have her on the team and do what you need to do. Very simple, very powerful, and hopefully this helps explain her typical gameplay flow, right? You just put her on field, right? Skill or ult to whichever one you need to do, depending on how much energy recharge you have, right? Use your bell tome, right? Jump in the air to spin her charges quickly, because as stated, right, the best way to spin her charges is going to be jumping in the air. And of course you can actually do a basic attack or a charge attack into your mid-air basics, because as I said, it makes her float, right? And so if you have multiple charges at that point, let's say you've got full 4 charges to use, right? You can charge attack into 3 mid-air basics and get your full bar pretty much instantly. And that's another way to actually, gain meter really fast with her. That's legit all the character needs to do, right? Put her on field, do a couple basics, use the skill, use the ult, right? You have a couple of charges, those photosynthesis attacks, and then you just jump in the air, spin them real quickly, you build a ton of meter, and then get her off field, right? And that's really it. So hopefully that helps you understand her typical gameplay flow and see why she's so powerful with the team, because while she's doing all that, she's giving you massive heals, right? Remember, mine's only at talent level 3, because that's really the highest you can do right about now, because the game just came out, and she's healing thousands of HP, even at this level, with minimal investment on relics, right? I don't have my energy recharge relics done or anything like that. So what you've seen here can all be way better, right? I only have 600 attack. She's healing for a pretty large amount. That is going to be, let's see, that's 800 something attack plus another 60, not 60, it's 100 something, but you see what I'm saying, right? Very massive amounts of healing across the board. Even her ultimate's just going to heal a raw 700, 300. So you're going to get a lot of heals once you level up this character, and then get all of her stat bonuses going with the healing bonus as well, right? You can see, if you go away to the bottom, the healing bonus at 36, so I'm even getting more healing from running that, even at this attack value. So yeah, very powerful effects. I wish you could actually see, oh, there you go. Yeah, 1,300 and something heals, right? Which is pretty good considering that these will happen almost every second, right? With her ultimate up. So that's going to be good. And then on top of the damage reduction granted by the bell, it's going to be a very powerful effect. So yeah, that's really it. Hopefully this gameplay section helped to sort of explain her gameplay flow, right? You just, again, skill, do a couple basics, build meter, jump up in the air or do a charge attack, and then do your basics in the air to spin that meter, right, to gain your concerto energy to swap off field, right? So hopefully this helps. Of course, I'll put a diagram in the video so you guys can see where you ult, basic, whatever. The attack, again, actually, this is another thing. All this attack boosting synergizes with her kit. So you get the extra 30% attack or 35% attack on her, which will boost her attack. As you can see here, it's now at 800. This will all boost her attack and therefore boosting her heals, right? So it's very powerful. It all synergizes together. It gives everybody a lot of, damage percent and everything that you need to do a bunch of damage, right? So yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. Hopefully this helps, and I didn't ramble for too long. I think this is a pretty good job. There's not really much more to say about this character, just that there's a reason why she is so powerful, considered, the most powerful support in the game. In fact, considered the #1 character in the game right now, because of all she's doing for simply just, being on the team, generating energy for everybody else, right? I do think she is going to be your number one pick for if you are re-rolling and or if you haven't used the selector yet, right? If you have any more questions, of course, comment them down below. Hopefully this video does well, right? And don't forget, as I said earlier, like, subscribe. Check me out on Twitch if you want to see more content. And yeah, that's about it.